Hello once again. Welcome back to Vote 22, where we are discussing the outstanding seats which have yet to be declared. And there are some very interesting battles out there, David McCann.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go over to East Londonderry, where Cara Hunter is looking better. Now, we would have said a wee while ago that she was likely...
She's the outgoing SDLP.
She's the outgoing SDLP, and she co-opted to replace John Dallett after his death. She is 70 votes ahead of Alliance's Chris McCaw. Now, if she stays ahead and his elimination goes, that will help Claire Sugden, the independent MLA, get elected. But then it would also probably help Cara Hunter overtake Kathleen McGurk, who's the second Sinn Féin candidate, who is currently just over 250 votes ahead of Cara Hunter. So much like what happened last time, where the second Sinn Féin candidate was 1,600 votes ahead, and John Dallett caught on transfers, Cara Hunter could do the same Hail Mary pass, and that would get the SDLP to 8 seats, and critically, would give them a woman in their ranks, because at the moment Sinead McLaughlin is neck and neck with her constituency colleague in Foyle. So want to take a trip next door. The real
Do they have a minister?
On 8 seats, it's doubtful whether they would have a minister, whether they'd have enough to qualify for the executive. So again, that's a bit unprecedented for the SDLP.
You were mentioning Foyle there.
Foyle, yeah, absolutely. So a real dogfight between Brian Tierney. Brian Tierney has just narrowly nicked ahead again, but we need to see where that alliance transfer will go. That'll be critical to decide which of the two of them pulls ahead and who gets in. And again, critical for the SDLP there, but also the battle between Ryan McCready and Gary Middleton. This could be the shining light on a very dark cloud for the Ulster, because this will decide whether the Ulster Unionists come back with 9 or 10.
Yes. Upper Ban, where we still don't know if Doug Beattie has returned. It's
looking better for Doug Beattie to get back, and again, that will be key for them too. It's going to be a real battle for that last seat. Alliance are looking to make inroads there and make a gain there. So again, it'll be a real battle there. Alliance do look in decent shape there. This again, transfers are the problem for Sinn Féin there as well.
Yeah, let's just go back to one of the town centres now, because Vicky Hawthorne is with us in Belfast. And Vicky, you're able to bring us up to date with the situation in North Belfast, that constituency we've just been discussing.
Yes, that's right, Paul. So the very latest is yet no one else elected there, but it's now down to this really very tight fight for the 5th seat between the SDLP Vice Deputy Leader Nicola Mallon and Nuala McAllister from the Alliance Party. There is just 100 votes between the two. They are currently redistributing the votes from Mal O'Hara from the Green Party, so we're just waiting for that to be completed.
Vicky,
so
who's ahead of whom?
This is so tight.
Who's ahead of whom between Nicola Mallon really and Nuala McAllister?
Sorry, Paul, I didn't quite catch that.
Who's leading by 100 votes? Is it Nuala McAllister or Nicola Mallon?
Sorry, yes, of course. It's Nuala McAllister is just 100 votes ahead, and I have to say, quietly, the Alliance Party are feeling confident about this, and I have to say there's not very many people from the SDLP around this count centre as we speak, so it's really difficult to get a steer from them, but I think that's an indication that they are very disheartened about what might be happening here in North Belfast.
Tight though this is there any suggestion of a recount?
Not at the moment, as I say. It's difficult to get a steer from both camps at the moment, because, as I say, there's not very many people from the SDLP here, and I think that just gives you the idea that from the outset this has looked a very difficult fight for Nicola Mallon. From the moment the boxes were opened yesterday morning, she wasn't here. I think she was downbeat quietly about what she was seeing being opened from the boxes, and the tallies weren't very positive for her from the outset yesterday. So yeah, it's tight, but it is looking like it might nudge Alliance's way on this.
Well, thank you very much indeed, as ever. It's been good to talk to you over the last couple of days. Some other breaking news now. A gentleman who has been campaigning a long time in Southdown for Alliance has got over the line. Yeah. Patrick Brown has been elected.
Yeah, absolutely, and that leaves Foyle. It's the only seat left in Northern Ireland where the SDLP hold more than one seat. And just a bit of history on North Belfast, that was the seat held by Gerry Fitt. He was the MLA, but he was Deputy Chief Minister in the Sunningdale Executive. So again, just to see a seat like that potentially fall away is incredible.
And you'd have to say that if this is about green transfers, you would be tipping Alliance over the SDLP at this stage. And I cannot begin to tell you how much of a loss Nicola Mallon
I can also tell you Stephen Dunn has been re-elected, DUP North Down.
In North Down.
But listening to Vicky there, it really shows the vagaries of this system that we're working in, the single transferable vote, where the margins are so tight. And people say to you on a regular basis, well, why would I bother voting? My vote won't make a difference. Well, actually, we're down here to a handful of votes deciding who's going to be returned to the Assembly. And I think that's really important. And also, we said it earlier, but to be fair to the DUP, they have managed this election extraordinarily well. So when they came out in places like Lagan Valley and said, we're not running 3, we're running 2, and reduced their candidates, it was a reality check, and their vote has not collapsed. So I think we have to recognise that.
And although we talk about percentages, the currency here is seats. And they have only lost 2. Jim Allister, for all his gains, is still on his own in the benches.
Yeah, I mean, it is worth noting that the last time a third unionist party polled well was Bob McCartney's UK Unionists. They took 4.5% of the vote and elected 4 seats, albeit on a 108-seat assembly. But this is unprecedented. I've never seen a party take over 7% of the vote and get just one seat off the back of that. I've never seen that before in an STV election.
I understand that we can talk to Daniel McCrossan, who's in Magherafelt, re-elected for West Tyrone. Daniel McCrossan, congratulations, but it's still not been a great few days for the SDLP, has it?
Well, first and foremost, I'm delighted to be elected for the 3rd time, Paul, in West Tyrone, and I've come in the 2nd seat. It's been a very positive result for me in West Tyrone, and it shows that the work that I've been doing on behalf of the party on the ground has resonated with the electorate, and I've been returned comfortably.
So what do you think went wrong then for the SDLP and other constituencies?
Well, I think when you go across various constituencies, including my own, people were very, very frustrated with the DUP basically saying to the electorate that there'll not be a nationalist First Minister. That has rung very hard with the electorate, and people have come out in numbers to return a nationalist First Minister, even though the reality at the end of it all is that the only thing will change is a plaque on a door. The powers remain the same. They're in the exact same position they were prior to the election, although it is a very good election to them, and I wish them well. But this is really not a big change. The reality is that things will be the same.
Daniel McCrossan, thank you very much indeed for talking to us this Saturday lunchtime. And I suppose what we have to do from here is to look at what is actually going to happen next week. What will happen on Monday at Stormont?
So the practicalities of what will happen on Monday is that the MLAs will have to sign the register and actually formally become MLAs. They can use the MLA after their name from there. Not much more. It's a bit of housekeeping at that point. They're given their offices and all that they need to do. The next question is, when will the Assembly sit? We're told that it could be Thursday. I think there may be some sort of issue about strike action that might delay it. But at that point then we'll get the answer to the really big questions, which are, will they nominate a Speaker? Yeah. Will they nominate for First and Deputy First Minister?
And who do we expect that to come from? Does that come from the parties?
Yeah, I mean, it does tend to come from there'll need to be a new Deputy Speaker, of course, because Roy Beggs has lost his seat. Alex Maskey will come back into the chair, even though he isn't standing again. So it was Sinn Féin last time, typically would rotate back to the DUP, but the Speaker in the Northern Ireland Assembly isn't like the Speaker in the County Corla and the Dáil or the Speaker of the House of Commons. They can still vote on party issues and things like that, so it's not like they lose. So the interesting thing is that if Sinn Féin do miss out on some of those second seats in Upper Bann and in East Londonderry, and they're only 1 seat behind Sinn Féin and they come back with 27, Alex Easton, what potentially would he do?
That's the math. Talking point.
That's the math that we're kind of looking at.
Yes, indeed. In the minute or so we have remaining, I just want to get any light at the end of this tunnel as far as next week is concerned.
Well, I think that the DUP will listen to what they've been told. In a sense, we've had a mind-numbingly dull campaign, but the outcome has been extraordinarily dramatic, and I think things will have to change. We cannot go back to the status quo.
We'll be entering another phase of negotiation and etc. And I think that's what the currency will be. It'll be talks.
Thank you very much indeed, panel. Thank you, Tracy, David, Deirdre, and Peter. It's always good to have you in the studio, and thank you. Well, as we head into this Saturday afternoon, the picture is becoming clearer, but there is still a way to go before we know what the true shape of the future government of Northern Ireland will look like, or if indeed there will be one. But before we go, a reminder of the story so far. Sinn Féin are the big winners and remain on course to become the largest party in Northern Ireland and to make history by taking the First Minister post. For the first time in almost 20 years, it appears the DUP will no longer be the number one party here, losing 7% of first preferences and one of its longest-serving MLAs, Peter Weir. And it's been a very successful 48 hours for Alliance, as it looks like they will be the third largest party. But the SDLP and the Ulster Unionists have come under severe pressure. Well, that is it from us for today. You can keep up to date on our website, itv.com/UTV. We'll have more election coverage tomorrow. We're back here on UTV at midday. I hope that you'll be able to join us then. It's been a busy few days, as always, winners and losers along the way. But that's the way it is this Saturday lunchtime. Good afternoon.